Hello guys, Gina with Sidewalk Talk. Today, I'm with Habstrakt. Heavy.
It's me.
So you grew up in south of France.
Yeah.
Where in south of France?
In a small town of like 1,500 people. I guess you could say a village.
1,500
Yeah,
people.
small town life.
What did you do growing up there?
Honestly, I started making music very early because I
Yeah,
was
your
pretty,
dad gave you a
pretty
guitar
bored.
at 5?
Yeah, he kind of stopped touching his guitars the moment I started touching them. So
And
yeah.
you just started playing?
I don't know if you can call that playing as much as making noise, but you know, that's sort of like my whole career in a nutshell, isn't it? Making noise.
Where did you get your creative side from? Did your dad always play instruments or something?
Definitely both of my parents.
Both of your parents?
Yeah, my dad's a carpenter in the field of arts and everything, so he's always been working around woods, but also electronics and everything. It's very handy. Would always like fix up old instruments. Would always find like broken, guitars and fix them and everything.
That's
so
so
for my dad and my mom's like, painter, multi-faceted artist. When I was a kid, she was a theater teacher.
Oh, like theater?
Theater, pardon my accent, yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. She was a theater teacher.
Wow.
And now she kind of writes tales and stories for kids and builds like those old stages and scenes and goes to school to like tell stories to kids,
That's so...
For Easter, for Christmas, everything, yeah.
What was that like growing up around such creative people?
To me, it was just how he was. He was just natural,
Yeah.
We were a little hippie family in the south of France, just doodling around,
Did your friends and the people around you, were they also pretty creative?
Yeah, my two close friends, yeah, all three of us were making music. We kind of wanted to make a band, but we couldn't agree on the music we wanted to make, so that's why I went into electronic, another one of them did too. And the third one was more into jazz. So now one of them is a saxophone player in a jazz improv live band.
Yeah.
And the other one makes like drum and bass and also is a sound designer for video games. Yeah.
What type of music were you guys listening to growing up?
I was the punk one. I was very punk and grunge and like Nirvana and like stuff like Sex Pistols and then
Okay, so is that where the whole not agreeing to the music, like one
I
wanted
think
to play
so,
like jazz?
yeah. The entire establishment kind of for me came from that. I was a big Nirvana fan. My homie was a big Rage Against the Machine fan, and the other one more like Deftones. So we like the same thing, but not exactly the same thing, right? It was like small nuances to this stuff. Yeah.
What were your parents listening to?
Oof, weird stuff. My dad, a lot of music from the 70s, Led Zeppelin, Pink Floyd, all that
classics.
stuff. Yeah, and my mom, also that, but a lot of very weird electronic music as well. She's the one that got me into Aphex Twin and Monturbine.
Oh,
that
so your
stuff.
mom is the one that got you into the
Yeah, sort of,
side.
yeah. Actually, it wasn't my mom. I discovered that from like other friends, but then when I took it home, I realized that it was there the whole time, right? I didn't realize that I was already, how to step into electronic music until I noticed that it was there the whole time. I just wasn't paying attention,
Yeah. How did you tell your parents that you were going to get into music full time? Because you said it kind of accidentally happened, right?
Yeah, that came later down the road because I was a student, I was studying literature.
Oh, you're studying literature?
Yeah, but I started working, construction sites on the side with my dad, kitchens on the other side to make, and I was working in kitchens for a long time. But so me making music, my job came much later. I was like 21, 22. And so not always well received from them, but then very quickly they realized I was just working hard and I was, paying my rent and doing my dues. So they accepted it,
Oh, they're supportive of your music
They are
career.
now, yeah.
Oh, they are now.
They are now.
They weren't
yeah.
at first?
No, obviously at first my dad wanted me to follow his path, work with him. I did for a few years while making music on the side. And then at some point music kind of took over. Just like 1 month I was making enough money with music to not need to work on anything else. It was like, oh, well, okay. At first when I was just playing CD shows for cash money, they were like, this is not the future. And then they were like, oh, you're actually working towards your retirement plan. You're actually saving money. You're actually, you have a savings account. So, they're like, okay, this is an actual thing, So now they're just like, well, they're just really proud. My son's a DJ.
Now they're super proud.
Yeah, my dad has a t-shirt that says Habstrakt, I am your father. He made it himself. It's such a dad joke.
Wait, he made that himself?
He made that himself. It's so funny. It's so embarrassing actually.
Gosh.
But
So you got introduced to electronic music at 13.
yeah.
How did you get introduced to that?
I was at a party and someone played Outer Space from Prodigy. And I lost my marbles. I just completely lost my shit and I was like, what is this? I need more of this every day.
How do you think your music has changed since the early days?
I think it went through several phases. of like trying to like fit and, you know, and then going back to doing absolutely whatever I wanted. And I think now it's really at this point where like, I think I'm confident enough with my sound that I don't really need to overthink anything. And so there's a lot more variety into what I put out, but at the same time, it remains extremely personal and it's just very unconditional. Like it's just evolved in a way that I think it's a little more punk now in the aspect. It's a little more like, fuck the system, if that makes sense. You know, like I don't really respect any rules.
Yeah.
Should it be in the writing, but also the production.
Right.
For a while, I was very technical, trying to abide by, you know, the mix down, the technical aspect. And now I kind of learn to be more confident about my abilities to make things sound and put that on the back seat and just enjoy making music again. If I had to define, I'd say I use my heart more than my brain. Let's look at this little cat over there.
What is your ultimate comfort food?
Oh, a good bowl of ramen.
Ramen.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Big tonkatsu. Ramen or pho, for sure. I'm a big soupy boy, yeah.
You're a big soupy boy. What's your favorite food?
Duck confit.
Duck confit.
Yeah, it's a French dish.
Whoa.
It's a slow-cooked duck leg into its own fat for so long that it kind of like becomes caramelized and just strips off the bone. It's gorgeous.
What's the best piece of music production advice that you've received?
I think it goes back to what I said earlier about like stop being so brainiac about everything and kind of like let the chaos reign a little bit and just follow your heart a little bit. So it'd be that from Skrillex, but also Joe Wright has taught me a lot. Joe Wright is a very good friend of mine and an incredible
He's
producer.
an amazing person.
He's an amazing person and he has a knowledge, his knowledge knows no boundaries. He has so much experience and knowledge about sound, and so he taught me a lot about, you know, putting heart into what you do.
What's the top goal on your bucket list right now?
I want to do something else than DJing on stage. I'm trying to build like, my big goal right now is to build a live show basically, right? Using the modular that I use at home but on stage.
That's cool.
It's a lot of work. I'm not sure I'm actually going to succeed anytime soon.
Giant thing that I like that.
Yeah, it wouldn't be that giant. It would be probably a smaller version of that. Obviously, a computer for some stability.
I have so many questions about that synthesizer, by the way.
Well, you'll come to the studio and we'll do a studio tour and I can show you that. My sets are 90 to 95% my own songs. So I'm like, what if I could deconstruct everything and reconstruct everything live in different ways than just playing song after songs?
Wow.
Since I own all these materials and I own all the parts of these materials, what if I just start blending those things? So my biggest goal right now is to try to like take a look back at all the work I've created, reappropriate it in a way that's new, that's exciting, that's interesting, and that's just danceable, right?
Last question.
Oh,
what do you want to be remembered for?
All those interviews, all of us talking and everything is one thing, but the strongest message that I ever want to live in this world is gonna be the thing that I create. And so I always think that a piece of art is worth 1,000 words, you know, and speaks better than I'll ever be able to, especially with my dirty accent and everything. So now I want to be remembered for what I've created, not who I was. Even if people have no interest in who I was, but they just stumbled upon a piece of art that I made, should it be music or anything else, an NFT, you know, in 100 years from now, if they relate to that, it doesn't matter if they have an interest in who made it, as long as they feel something, you know, when they being exposed to something like that. So I want to be remembered for what I make. And I think that's why the album is called Heritage as well, you know. This is what I want to leave behind.
Well, Adam, thank you so much for this conversation and, you know, sharing everything and being a part of this.
It's been real. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. All right, bye. Oh, next time we see him.
In the studio.
In the studio.
In the studio,
Walk into the
tweaking some
studio.
knobs. Yep.
Yeah. All right.
All right. Thank you guys. Take care.